In Firefighter Daigo, Rescuer in Orange Episode 4, Shun's first day on the rescue corps begins with intensive equipment inspection. Shun sees everyone fall into their roles and carry out their routine tasks but is uncertain about where he should start. Daigo informs him that he hasn't been able to find a job on the scene as well and advises Shun to shadow Igarashi and steal pointers. Shun stands aside and observes Igarashi checking the engine blade. Igarashi gives him an intimidating look, but then proceeds to poke fun at Shun for being so uptight. Igarashi then assigns him to check the engine cutter. Unfortunately, when Shun attempts to check the cutter, he overuses the choke. The leader of the rescue corps, Yamagami, steps in to get things under control. Just as the alarms begin to ring, they quickly prepare and leave. A restaurant has caught fire, and smoke has filled the restaurant. Despite this, the owner decides to head back in to rescue some of the sauce, which has been in preparation for over 30 years. Unfortunately, the flames cause a huge explosion while he is inside. The rescue team arrives at the weakened building to search for the subject. The firefighters manage to bring out most of the flames before they reach the building. The rescue team heads into the crumbling structure and begins to look for the subject. They begin by going into every corner and calling out to the victim, but it goes unanswered. The rescuers are advised not to stand on anything, as the victim could be buried under rubble. Shun is inspired by their efforts and begins doing the same. Just then, Igarashi locates the subject under a huge slab of concrete and alerts the others. The team assembles and uses the camera to get a visual and a mighty mat jack to elevate the concrete slab. The camera spots rebar pierced through the left arm of the victim. They realize they will have to further lift up the concrete slab to be able to cut the rebar, but the mighty mat jack is at capacity, and it will not be possible to bring a hydraulic jack as the floor is already cracking. The smallest teammate decides to crawl in through the other side but is unable to as the gap is too small. Daigo suggests he will crawl in to rescue the victim, but Shun realizes his shoulders are too broad. Daigo applies force, dislocates his shoulder, and gets ready to crawl in at the end of Firefighter Daigo, Rescuer in Orange Episode 4. The episode review Firefighter Daigo, Rescuer in Orange Episode 4 takes us through a transition, going from training to joining the Special Rescue Corps, and then follows Shun's first real rescue mission. The journey is exhilarating, to begin with, but later shows how tragic real-life situations can really be. In training, trainees are usually faced with multiple challenging tasks which they often question the usefulness of. However, there's everything to gain from them. This rescue mission shows just how important physical and mental resilience is when the stakes are incredibly high. The episode ends with the victim trapped under a concrete slab, and with all other options out of reach, Daigo dislocates his own shoulder to crawl in from the other side and cut the rebar, allowing the others to pull the victim out safely.